Hey everybody, my name's Greg Slone. Thanks for checking out another episode of Drum Power. What I was just doing there was reading through a solo and a drum book that I used to teach out of. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this here. This is Advanced Funk Studies by Rick Latham. It's a really cool book. I think it's getting harder to find these, but anyway, super cool book. And anyway, this is the solo that I was just playing for you. You can see actually has, where is it at? Here we go. You can see the colored in triangles there. That's actually cowbell. And since I don't have a cowbell set up, that's why I was using the rim of the drum, you know, just to get that sound. But anyway, this video, thanks for checking it out, by the way, checking out my channel on YouTube called Drum Power. This video I'm doing is about books that I recommend for people to study out of. Preferably, you have a good teacher that can help run you through these things, but it's possible, you know, the well-written books, it's possible to go through them on your own if you take your time and, you know, read through them. Plus, with the help of YouTube, I'm sure there's, you know, videos on these specific books as well. But one of the first ones, which I don't even have with me here, it's pretty long and drawn out, and you know, a lot of students get bored with that type of book, so I don't even use it much anymore. But it's called Basic Drumming by Joel Rothman, and it's a really thick book with, you know, all the basics. It shows you quarter notes, quarter rest, eighth notes, eighth rests, 16th notes. You know, you go through pages and pages of all that stuff, and I think that's what, you know, people don't like. But it eventually works into drum set, you know, work, and even, you know, all the rudiments are in there, all kinds of cool. It's actually a book full of great information. It's just one of the longer ones, so I don't tend to use it. Another book that I studied out of when I was younger is by Ted Reed. It's called Syncopation. Really famous book to learn how to sight read music and, you know, pretty much snare drum work that you're, you know, mainly doing out of that. And again, a lot of students get bored with that. People want to, you know, get on the drum set as fast as they can and play everything as fast as they can. So generally what I do with beginning students is I will write for them myself on paper things like quarter notes and quarter rest and eighth notes and eighth rest and snare drum work like that. And we'll do a few weeks of that kind of stuff, not to bog them down for, you know, a few months, because, you know, people, you know, this day and age, people want it now. You know, they want to learn as much as they can as fast as they can. So people that need to stay with that snare drum basic, you know, sight reading longer, I will, you know, work with them longer on it. But people that are ready to move ahead, probably the first book that I put almost anybody into, and I studied out of this book as well. I think it's the rock drummer Bible, honestly. This is called Realistic Rock by Carmen Appice. And man, this book's been around, I think, since the early 1970s. And it's a phenomenal book. I mean, you go through this book, if you've never played drums before, by the time you're done with this book, you're going to sound like a really competent, really good drummer. Solid timekeeper. There's even odd time stuff in this book later in the book, so you learn how to play in 7 and how to play in 9, for instance. But this is my all-time favorite drum set book. And I know when I was on tour with bands like Moth and Bastion, and I met other drummers, a lot of well-known drummers, to a man, I can't think of a guy, to be honest with you, that didn't learn out of this book. So almost any famous drummer that you know that's you know, been playing in the last 40 years or whatever, they've probably gone through this book. So if you don't have this book, I definitely recommend this one. Realistic Rock by Carmen Appice. Phenomenal, phenomenal book. Now, generally, if I have a student that really wants to, learn, maybe to be a professional drummer, do this for a living, we've got to cover more than just rock and, country and that kind of stuff. So we have to work our way into, funk and Latin and jazz and all those kind of things. So the next book, once people finish the Realistic Rock book, like what I like to do is put them into the one I was just playing the solo from, which is called Advanced Funk Studies by Rick Latham. And just a really good book, not a terribly long book, but a lot of great information in this. And what's cool about it is he shows you all kinds of funky beats and stuff and how to read them. And they're beats that include cowbell and toms and the bell of the ride cymbal and, different stickings and movements that you have to, master and get comfortable with. But he also gives you actual transcriptions. Let's see if I can find some examples here of, actual drum beats recorded in actual songs. So, like for instance, he's got Steve Gadd, and he's got a lot of beats from Steve Gadd, but he'll have the beat written out, he'll name the song and the artist that did it, so now you can pull up on YouTube or whatever, Spotify, you can listen to the songs and, read these beats along with them. It's really cool. So he gives you those transcriptions, and then you work your way into the solos, like the stuff that I was playing when we first started this video. So this is a great book, and it's a great go-between when you're trying to get from, just a good solid rock drumming foundation, working your way into jazz, for instance. This is the book I like to sandwich in the middle of Realistic Rock and Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer, which is my favorite beginning jazz book. And this has been out, this is by Jim Chapin, this has been out, I want to say, since the 40s. I don't know the exact, I'm sure it's in here. Yeah, the first printing of this was 1948, and outstanding book. So I like to go Realistic Rock, right? So this one, Realistic Rock, and then Advanced Funk Studies, and then I think most drummers have enough coordination that they can get into the jazz stuff. And this book is just, chock full of all kinds of things. Playing the swing pattern, obviously, but playing it, against triplet feel, against straight feel. Everything's in this book. It's an outstanding jazz book for people wanting to get started on that. And then if you want to go further, and you really want to test yourself, this one's really, I don't have a lot of students that have been able to get through this one, but it's an absolute great challenge of a book for any of you that are more advanced players. It's called The New Breed by Gary Chester. And The New Breed, this is the book guys like, Dave Weckl and Vinny Colaiuta and those kind of guys studied out of this book. I think they may have even, I'm pretty sure, at least in Dave Weckle's case, I think he may have even actually studied with Gary Chester himself. But this book, the coordination's insane. What he basically sees, you can kind of see from his drum set in the picture there, he sees the drums as a right side and a left side. So he rarely would cross, he would play open. So he'll lead with the left. He thinks you should be able to lead with the left as well as the right. And it's kind of like, if you ever seen a guy like Simon Phillips play, he can do that. And he kind of likes to, everything on this side, within grooves anyway, he likes the right hand to play it. Everything on this side, and he has like floor tom and other things over here, the left hand will play it. But they'll do things like, he has these systems where you'll do like, say a hi-hat pattern, consistent hi-hat pattern, a consistent snare drum pattern, and then like you'll read a bass drum solo, for instance. Or you might have consistent bass drum, consistent hi-hat loops. patterns that you're doing, and then you might read a whole page of the snare drum soloing underneath that. So it's a very challenging book, very challenging book, but a lot of fun. So anyway, just wanted to throw that stuff out at you guys. If you're wondering what are some good books that you can get into to really jumpstart your drumming, kind of take you to another level, I recommend all of those very highly. So anyway, until next time, you guys keep rocking, and we'll see you then.